Okay, I think I got it right. Hey, everybody. I wanted to come to you and talk to you today about doctor days. Well, having lupus and doctor days. So, let me explain to you what doctor days means. So, doctor days is whenever you have a doctor's appointment, a follow up of some sort, where your body was off balance in some way, so you have to go see these specialists, and then if they find something else, they refer you to another set of specialists, and before you know it, you're going to see 10 people, and you be like, it gets overwhelming, but that is a part of living with lupus, because it's not just like, one thing. It's not like your toe hurts. It's your toe hurts, but you have like a knee spur, a fracture of some sort, like something weird that probably don't even go with that. And then it just always be something going on, and some days it's like it's super duper overwhelming. So I'm ugly. I already been crying. Yeah, go ahead and say it in the comments. I look like crap. It's okay, but I've been super emotional about it, and that's why I decided to share it, because I wonder if somebody else also feels like I feel. So I feel like, so today I went to see um, the ENT specialist, because I have had like sinuses and allergies. Like, it's been crazy out of the wazoo. So that's a personal thing. That wasn't anything, dealing with my lupus. That's because I get tired of my nose running and sneezing and stuff like that. And so I've had that antibiotics, all of that. So I'm like, what's going on? What can you do? So I like to also go see the best doctors. So I get those ones that have the highest ratings and they have the most knowledge behind them, because I feel like if I want the top notch, and I'll wait and I'll call their nurses and stalk them, whatever it takes to get that doctor. So that's how I roll. And I feel like I can trust them. Like, my doctors that are my rheumatologists and my nephrologists, they do studies. Like, I wanted to ask them to, do an interview and different things like that too at some point, to see if they'll, give some information that your doctor may not have shared with you. So I like those types of doctors, because I've had dumb doctors before. And when I say you come and you tell them, my leg hanging off, and they be like, wait, why do you think that is? That's why I'm here asking you. I don't know. So I hate that question. So that kind of makes me feel like, that's dumb doctor talk, in my opinion. So I like doctors that when I leave there, I'm gonna have so many things to go home and look up and read, because they have said some stuff that I have no idea about, and they gave me, a mini definition of it, but it makes me want to go in further research. I like those types of doctors who really can talk to me about what's going on, and we can also talk about things on the holistic side and how it, works. I like those types of doctors. So that's Dr. Wood. Anyway, so he's telling me about my sinuses, and I have another appointment. I'm cool with him. I can come back in a month. Stuff is going good. I'm like, great. I want him to have a sinus surgery, but he's like, maybe we'll see. We'll try something else. So I appreciate the fact that he also lets me try to, find other options before you just go to cutting and scraping and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, off Dr. Woods. But as I leave, I ask about an upcoming appointment that I have, because I'm at the point in lupus where at first you go every week. Like, when you're in bad shape, you have to go every week. So you go every 2 weeks. Once you get a little bit better, and then you progress to longer periods. So I'm at the point where my body is doing well with the treatments that I have been taking, so my appointments are like every 3 months, but I try to get them where they're all at the same time, because you get so emotional when it comes to whatever they tell you at your doctor's appointments. And I just was tired of doing that, like every 6-7 days. Like, no, put everything as close together as you can, so I can get over it, I can face the facts, and I can absorb it, and I can move on with my life. And so I don't think people know about like the emotional side. The emotional side is the worst part of having lupus, because it's like things that you cry about and you get emotional about, other people don't even understand it. And it's kind of weird to try to like not seem like you're just so sensitive, but I really am. So I go to the doctor. This appointment was good, but the one that I have to go to next is a follow-up about my kidneys. So whenever you have had kidney trauma like I had last year, when I was in renal failure, you have protein in your urine, you have blood in your urine. So my nephrologist is my kidney doctor. He was like, well, other things are improving. My creatinine is at normal rates. It's just a lot of other things are great, but there's still the protein, there's still the blood in the urine. So he sends me to somebody else who's a lot more advanced in it than him. And Dr. Atkinson is like super good too, because it took me forever to get in with him, but he's just really smart. So one of my doctors that I went to, when he did my surgery, he had like 20 doctors there watching him. So I felt like I was on House, an episode of House. They might have put my story on there, y'all. Y'all look out for me. Because I love House too. So, you know, like everybody's looking at House and analyzing his work and different things. I thought that was cool, but my doctor did that. So I like the best. So Dr. Atkinson is saying, you know, he wanted to get the purest form of urine from my bladder. So this is super personal too. So if you don't like nasty stuff, go ahead and stop right now. It's nasty, but I want to tell you about it. Okay. So they put a catheter and they take the urine straight from your bladder to make sure it's a pure sample, that it hasn't been contaminated in any way. So he says, I'm gonna do 3 samples, all the tests that you've had in the past year that say you do have blood, and then I'm gonna take 2 straight from your bladder, and that'll tell me what we need to do next. So the 2 that he took straight from my bladder also had blood present, which means that he has to do another procedure, which is not painful, but it's like they're gonna take a camera and look inside of my bladder just to make sure it's everything's cool. It's a preventative measure. So the thing about that is, no, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't take that long, but it's just like, what if they find something wrong? I'm trying my best not to be one of those people that like is a worry wart or something like that, but it is something to think about, because I'm trying to better plan my reactions about things, because you know what, life happens. Some things you can't control, some things are ugly, and sometimes really some things really aren't worth like you falling apart about. Like if somebody hit my car right now, I can't even go on trip, because you know what, 2 things: I have insurance and I have insurance. So yeah, you may have some aches and bumps and stuff like that, but about if outside of me being physically hurt, I wouldn't really be upset about my car. That's not something that I'm willing to give a lot of energy to, because it's nothing I can do about it. It's already happened, whatever would have happened. So I'm trying to, you know, be a little more responsible with my emotions when it comes to my doctor's appointments, because sometimes the stuff they tell you is like heartbreaking, and I have to hurry up and gather myself back up and say, Ash, that's not always what happens. You are not everything bad that they say could happen. And so like I can tell you, I've had 2 different doctors tell me that, you know, you'll never have kids. One doctor I had when I was in high school, he was a jerk. I'm gonna tell you his name, Dr. Andronopoulos. I'm telling on you. I don't like you. So, excuse me. He told me, he was like, oh yeah, you'll never have kids. Don't worry about it. You should adopt. And I was like, I think I might have been in college or something like that. And I was like, oh my goodness, how could you say that so callously? Like go get some puppies. It was so rude, and I wanted to fight him ever since then. Like I always say, if I ever saw him outside of that doctor's office, I was gonna fight him, because I didn't appreciate that. But if I was a person, think about how often people say that to people who are not mentally as strong or not emotionally as strong. Like that could put a person into a serious level of sickness because they're stressed. Because one thing for sure that we all know is that the more you stress, the worse this illness is. The worse. So I think doctors, consider you guys tell us that y'all should be a little more mindful of how you present information. And one thing I can say is the last few that I've had have been amazing. Like all of these ones in Baton Rouge have done an amazing job with caring about my feelings. Because some people, they don't. How do you tell a person like, you know, you ain't gonna never have kids? So I've had other doctors in between say that wasn't true or whatever, but it's just still, how do you say that like that? And so then I had it on the flip side in a you know, better bedside manner, but still painful news, where the doctor was like, so one of these treatments will give you, if it works, you know, that'll be great, we'll stick with that, but if we don't, we have to try this other one, and this other one may make you sterile. And I'm like, what? So then you have to pick and choose, like, do you sacrifice your body having your kidneys, or do you want to have kids? That's a tough decision to me. And I felt like, you know, a lot of people, like, one thing I love to read is this girl on Facebook. Her name is Tatiana. It says, I blog Ty. She be putting these questions from her inbox. That is the only thing I keep my Facebook open just about for, so I can get on there and read that stuff. But anyway, the story is like, okay, hold on, what was I trying to get to? I lost my point. That happens sometimes too. Okay, so I'm telling you about this doctor's appointment. Let me backtrack. I don't remember. So I'm gonna tell you about something else. So one thing I was worried about with the doctor is like they tell you all of these different things, and so the doctor told me, oh, I was telling you about the treatment. That's what it was. So the treatments, she always talks about people's relationships and how they are with kids. And one thing that I want to inbox her is how do you as a woman date, and it's a possibility that you can't have children, or that it may not be safe for you to have children or whatever. Because like when we were younger, I didn't want to have kids no way, so I wasn't worried about it. But now that I'm older and I do want to have at least one child, how do you tell a person that, you know, I like you a lot, but I come with a lot of drama, like a lot of, it's not drama, but like a hefty package. You know, it's how do you tell a person like, I love you and I want to be with you, I want to marry you, but some days I'm just not gonna be able to get out of bed. Like that is so awful to think about. And I think if it wasn't me, how receptive would I be to want to have to take care of a person? I wouldn't want to. No, I don't know. It depends on how you felt, but it will be something to think about. Like, do I want to invest that much time into that where I have to deal with sometimes you're going to be sick and sometimes you're not? It's a gamble. And I think was more frustrating. And so all of these emotions come from doctor days, because I had that conversation not even a year ago with my doctor, and he was like, if this doesn't work, which what I'm on now, which is working, so that's great. I don't have to take the one as of now that would have made me sterile, but what if it hadn't been? Like, you know, so I am grateful for that. It does work. It is improving. But that was a real life process that I had to determine, like, okay, so what you gonna do? So if it doesn't work, are you gonna try to have a child in between and then, you know, maybe jump back to it later? Like you can play Russian roulette if you want to. I didn't want to be like that, but then I don't want to say like, man, I ain't gonna never have children. I just want one kid, just one. But I don't know. I know kids aren't well for everybody, and I know everybody's going through that in my generation of, like, you know, they want kids and they want to be married to be complete and all of those different types of things. And I want a kid. I want to see if it is possible that somebody could look just like me. I don't know. That part might be creepy or whatever, but I think it's cool. So yes, I want to be a mom, and I adore my goddaughter. She is so freaking funny. Okay. Anyway, but to have a doctor say to you that you may not have a child, it can be scary, it can be sad, and it makes me sometimes like so emotional, and I cry about it. And so one day the day that they told me if this one doesn't work, we're gonna have to go to this, I bust out crying at the doctor's office, because I never asked anybody to go with me, because I want to have that moment where I take in whatever and I cry about it and I get over how I want to get over it. And so ever since my mom saw me react like that at my doctor's appointment, now she want to know when every time I go, and she want to talk about it after, because she wants to be supportive. But sometimes I just want to be by myself, and it's like, it's hard to not want to tell people, yeah, they told me today that 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna have to have surgery on this, or have to, you know, continue to take this. Like, I am so over medication, like so over it. I'm so over these doctor's appointments, over all of that stuff. And you kind of go through those phases where you just be like, this is ridiculous. How am I supposed to live my life and still have to do all of this stuff? If I forget my medication at home, I gotta go get it, because my blood pressure is gonna be so ridiculously high, because I was in renal failure, and your kidneys control your blood pressure. And until they can figure out, hopefully, that's why I hope that going to see the urologist, and hopefully he can figure out where the blood is coming from, and maybe they can, I don't know, however, maybe that will regulate my blood pressure. Because it's like, I feel like the most difficult part about having a body is you can like will so many things into existence. You can do so many different things, but you really can't control certain things. And my body is that one thing I cannot control. And I promise you, it is so frustrating. It's so frustrating, because it's like, you try to eat right, you try to exercise, you try to go to sleep, you try to do all of those things. Like, I have tried to read every book under the sun and do so many different things to try to figure out what's best to possibly regulate my body and make sure that I don't have to go through these things. I've tried to lose weight. I've tried to do so many different things so I can keep up with just like the normal things that you can do. Like, it's been so great to be able to run and And even if it's for a short distance, then my body is handling those types of things, and that's what I strive for. So like having to constantly find out that there's something new wrong is so depressing sometimes. And that's why I hate doctor days. But luckily my nurses have worked it out to where like I have multiple appointments on one day, and I am grateful because I'm getting to that point where I don't have to have them that often, because it weighs on your personal life too. It does, because people like, oh, I don't want anybody to ask me about what the doctor said, and it makes you have to be reserved. It makes you kind of like want to be by yourself, and that hurts people's feelings sometimes too. Like, it's kind of weird to tell, recently this happened to me. I had a date and I had a doctor's appointment, and when I told him I could go, I didn't even think about that it was a day that I had a doctor's appointment. And I got some bad news, which I don't want to even talk about right now because I don't want to cry again. And so it just really, really, really ruined the rest of my day. And I was not in a good space to go on a date with him. And he was so disappointed. And I felt so bad because, like, I don't know what he thought I was playing, or I don't know what, but he didn't take it well. But I can understand that, you've been anxious and you've been excited to see a person, and y'all, waiting to go out and hang out or whatever, and then they like flake on you. But had cried like for hours. I'm sorry, my leg's itching. That's how y'all just got in my mouth like that. My bad. Okay, let me back up. But yeah, so I felt bad about that because I have had that happen to me where I'm excited to see somebody else, and it doesn't happen. You get disappointed. So I hate that, my reason for disappointing him had to be like, I'm so emotional about my body that I cannot control. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, they don't. Like, in my lupus support group, I feel like we share so many things, like, this is what you do when you have this problem, and we try it, and we try like almost everything. Sometimes I believe we try too much, but we're just so desperate for something that'll make you like not feel a certain way. Like, let me tell you to this, and I'm gonna get off of here because I'm gonna go to the pool, because this is why I love the pool. It's so therapeutic for me. I can cry, and I can, get all of my feelings out about whatever the stuff is I cannot control, because most of it is stuff you can't control, but it still makes you sad. Okay, so and then I have to play the waiting game, because one thing about doctor's appointment is they don't come the next day. You have to wait. So then you go and you take all these tests and you do these things, and then you still gotta wait like 2 weeks. And like, so I'm like, can somebody say something to me in the middle of that though? So sometimes that can be kind of frustrating, but I've kind of learned to, like, the nurses will send me notes and different things and kind of keep me posted, so that makes me feel better. But the waiting game, oh, it sucks. It really sucks to find out the test result or something, and you just like, oh, I hope I did better this time, or I hope that I, took my medicine enough this time, or did I not do something I really wanted to, like cookies, y'all. I love cookies. And I try my best not to eat them as much because I know that sugar is just not good for me. It causes you to have so many other issues. So, like, even that's a sacrifice for my body. And I don't think it's a bad sacrifice at all by far. But when you sacrifice it and sometimes it's still not enough, it gets kind of, it makes you not as optimistic. And so that's where I have to come to the pool, because I like the pool. It's relaxing, but it's also a form of exercise, so it doesn't feel like I'm exercising. And that's like, lately, that's been my favorite pastime. And everybody's like, you go swimming every day? Yes, I do. And I don't care about my hair being wet, and that's why I wear stuff like this, because it can get a little bit damp and I can still live my life. Because the pool is important to me. And so yeah, I'm trying to get out of here. But let me tell you why having lupus at work makes me so emotional. So it's the second day of school. I got all these great plans of things that I need to do and how I'm going to execute my day to get to the bottom of my bottom goal. And so then my big boss is there. I'm nauseous, and I'm trying to hold it together because I had to take my meds. I'm trying to get better about taking them on time and things like that. But there is a period that you go through where you're nauseous, and sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not okay. And yesterday just happened to be the day that it was not okay. So about an hour I'm dealing with it. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking cranberry juice. I'm drinking, ginger, trying to calm my stomach down. Take some mint. I made my peppermint tea. Like, nothing worked. And so I had to go ahead and take my prescription drug that they gave me, which is promethazine. So the promethazine tabs, it works. Like, it'll knock that nausea out. Like, but it also makes me so sleepy. And when it was like, it make you sleepy to the point where you just can't function, or at least not for me. And so, which is why I only try to take it at night or once I'm at home. And I was like cross-eyed sleepy. I had to go in my office and lock the door and take a nap at work. And that is so embarrassing. Like, that's so freaking embarrassing. And I know people are like, man, I wish I could take a nap at my job. But it's like, dog, I have to. Because I cannot, if I can't move forward if I don't. That sucks. That sucks a lot. And that's the side, like, I'm sure, like, when people go on those walks and you got that person, team whoever that you walking for in your Lupus shirt, like, those are the stories that she probably don't tell you. That she, didn't have as much as she wanted to accomplish because she just, like, had to sit down. I had to lay down or I would have fell over yesterday at work. That's so embarrassing to me, to not be able to sometimes function at work. So it's either, be on your P's and Q's, but at any moment you can vomit, which is also embarrassing because I've done that too. Thrown up in the hallway and all the children in the hallway and they all go, ew! It's the pits, because that means you're going to have 200 kids asking you for the rest of the day, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Thank you, children, for caring about me. But 200 kids, each one I'm going to ask me I'm okay. Then they're going to be laughing. Some of them going to be scared. It's going to be all kinds of comments. They're going to tell their mama that I threw up in the hallway. I'm going to get all kinds of conversations about it. That's whack, too. So that's funnier, but still, it has its, downside. So it's either be sleepy or throw up in front of the kids. So all of these things come from Dr. Day. These are the emotions that I go through in the car. And if you want to know how I get over it, I come to the gym. That's where I'm at now. I get me a nice playlist, and I cry and I dance and I cry and then I swim and then I cry and I get in the sauna and then I ride home and it's over with. That's been good for me, and I'm glad that's the cycle that I'm at, to where, like, I'm trying to heal myself. I'm trying to heal my feelings, because I feel like if my feelings aren't better intact, then my body will be too. Because I can't just do things. Like, I'm gonna have to do things and get my soul together at the same time. Like, at this point, I'll give anything for peace. That's all I want. That's all I want. So, thanks for listening to my rant. Kind of random. Oh yeah, on Dr. Days when I be crying, I will go to McDonald's and get me a chocolate chip cookie, because I'm like, you know what? I ain't get the ones that I wanted the last 6 days. I'm finna get me a cookie. Okay. The life of a fat girl, man, dang. With lupus. That's how it works. Cookies. But thank you for listening. Serious business.